بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على رسولنا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه وسلم. Alhamdulillah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave us another opportunity and helped us to make time and get together again studying His book, understanding His book. May Allah accept this from us and give us steadfastness to continue with this. We'll do a quick recap on some of the things we talked about last week. For those of you who missed, it should be on YouTube. The screen wasn't shared last week. Today we'll try to do some sort of camera moving and see if we can show, inshallah. But anyways, this is primarily focused on people who are coming here. So the online audience is our second priority, or third or fourth. Okay, so objectives. First and foremost, to start practicing and understanding the Kitab of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, how to derive practical lessons from it, and then practicing and learning the vocabulary in the class. However, the more you practice at home, as you go through your regular reading of the Quran, the better you will get, the stronger, the faster you will get. We'll keep repeating the grammar, so if you don't get it, don't worry. We'll just keep repeating it every time, and it will just be a thing of practice, inshallah. And and try to start some sort of a circle at your home as well, with your families as well, so that would be really beneficial. So these are some of the questions that we use to reflect and to come with beneficial points. I'll put that up when we are doing the reflections. Warning, we talked about, make sure that we don't say that we are doing tafsir. It's more of a reminder, so you shouldn't be driving new information just by looking at the verse. That can become very misleading. Okay, so any questions, drop me an email. I highly suggest investing in this book for your home. Buy the 3-volume set. You'll have word-by-word translation. You can use it for yourself. You can use it for your family halaqah as well. Okay, we talked about that. So these are the links. Everybody should have it. It's also in the YouTube description, WhatsApp group, wherever you are. Should have also been emailed to you. So I believe everybody should have that. If not, you can take a picture of the QR code and during the break or right now. Going 1, 2, 3. We will primarily use Quran Hive. I think it has tafsir, it has audio tafsir, it has root words, and we will also use corpus.quran.com on the screen here. And if you want to have a brief tafsir, then you have Tafsir al-Sa'di available on kalamullah.com. All right. Any questions about that?
Brother, can you go to, please, the slide 2?
This is something, yes, I'll put that up when we're actually doing the reflection on the verses. I'll put the slides back up, inshallah. Yeah, this would be the one we'll use most. The rest was the logistics. Okay? Everybody all right with that? Okay, so we'll do a quick grammar recap of what we did last time, maybe add some more things, and then get right into it, inshallah. So where are my grammar slides? Again, are available from the link. So what I'm going to be talking about today is some of this is going to be a repetition of what we did last time. Some of it will be new, but we'll keep repeating it. So if you don't get everything today, don't worry. It's not meant for us to memorize the chart, but to use the chart as a reference when we are actually reading the Quran. Okay, so let's talk about this. So right now, the grammar that we will do is something that should be beneficial for everyone. Okay? So this grammar is focused on, you see a word, you hear a word, it should give you techniques and tips to be able to understand and also break down the words. Okay, this is the pronoun, this is the verb, this is the attachment, this is the detachment, what have you, so that you're able to understand. There are some other details that I will start covering later on. I don't think that's needed to understand Quran per se, because you can still, there's enough context that you will be able to understand it. However, especially if you intend to or you're memorizing Quran, those details will become very useful. Okay, as an example, we were looking at it before we started the official class here. So see, there's a word here, al-kitaba. Okay? But when we are memorizing Surah Al-Baqarah or you're reading Surah Al-Baqarah, it says, ذَلِكَ الْكِتَابُ, right? Now from an understanding perspective, as long as you understand al-kitab is referring to the Quran, you're good. Right? Now the other details that we will come to later on, that will help you with memorization and it will help you avoid some of these mistakes, inshallah. Clear? So let's quickly recap the pronoun chart. I don't think we need to spend time memorizing the pronoun chart because we're not going from English to Arabic, right? So you have an English sentence and you're translating in Arabic. That's not what we're focusing on. You already have the Arabic in the right form, and you just have to make the translation from Arabic to English. That's what we are focusing on. Okay, so the goal is different. And sometimes many people have this goal, but they go through a very deep learning curve. So that's sometimes discouraging as well. Okay, so we said that there are two types of pronouns. One are, separate, like huwa. Okay, so if you focus on huwa, that's separate. This refers to he, or it will also be used to refer to any male noun. Any male noun. So in Arabic, every noun is either male or female. Every noun, right? So book would either be used as a male noun or a female noun, right? The glass, the table will be either used as a male noun or a female noun. The car will be used as a male noun or female noun. So every noun will be either male or female. So it's binary, okay? There's nothing else there. And then based on that, you will use the appropriate pronoun. Okay? So it gives you this huma. Again, you would hardly see it in Quran, only a few places. So I'm not going to focus on it too much. And then you have the plural of he, which is hum. Sorry, my bad. It's not the plural. It's the attached pronoun. Okay? So either the pronoun will be separated, like Qul huwallahu ahad. So it's a separate word by itself. Everybody sees it. It's not attached with anything. Qul, separate. Huwa, separate. Okay? Now, hum is something that's attached. So, for example, in our verse, we saw it here. Where do we see? Here. Anna lahum. So you see how it's attached? It's coming after something else. Okay, so this is attached form. Okay, so let me step back. I think I just spoke wrong, incorrectly, kind of incorrectly. So you have huwa, which is he, and then you have hu, which is the attached form of it. Okay, and this is something that came here, min ladunhu, here. Okay, ladun hu. So that's the attached form. Okay, in English, if you want to think about it, we say what? He is a good student, right? I gave the book to him. Okay, so that's the difference, right? There's another form of it in English as well. I took his book. I took his book. So that's the third thing that we have in English. Okay. So it will become clear. The idea is not to memorize this chart, but the idea is to understand why there are differences. And as we are doing the back and forth with the actual verses, we will see this. The plural is actually not changing. It's hum in both instances. Okay, so they is hum, and even if it's attached, it will be hum. Okay, so we can and this is all the female version of it. It is there, very rarely used in Quran. Not because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is not addressing female, it's just that both of them are addressed by default, and when both genders are being addressed, then the male gender is used from Arabic language. Okay. Any questions about that? Just a concept, right? I don't expect people to have memorized it by now, just a concept. Okay, now when we're talking about the you, so you have anta, and try to say it out loud with me, so okay, to say anta, you, okay? And ka is the attached version of it. So Allahumma anta as-salam, okay? So that's one thing we say. And then when we are saying the attached version, we say as-salamu alayka, right? If you're addressing one person, as-salamu alayka ayyuhan nabi, for example. Okay? The plural version is antum, and the attached version of that is hum. If you want, you can memorize it, but as I said, like the idea is for us to, when you're reading Quran, you will start identifying these things as they come, and the more you practice, it will just become second nature. Okay, now, so we talked about the third person, we talked about the second person, and now for the first person, you have ana and nahnu. So nahnu for we, ana for I, and the attached version for nahnu, for we is na, and the attached version for I is either a single ya or noon plus ya, right? So we talked about it last time. Alhamdulillahi alladhi at'amani, or now. Okay, so if you want to have first person, at'amani, he fed me, and now you would use for plural. Okay. So I know it's a lot. I'm going to give you more information as well. The reason I'm giving you more is that this will help us, dissect as we are analyzing words from today's lesson. And this is something we'll keep doing for a few weeks. And after a few weeks, then I will add maybe something new. Okay, so far we talked about what?
Him.
Pronouns, right?
They.
We just talked about pronouns. So all the different types of pronouns. So when you're reading a word in Quran, you can easily just say, okay, yeah, that's a pronoun. I know this thing. Boom. You can go back to your chart. Pronoun, 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 pronoun. Okay. Let me give you one other concept. So when you're looking at any word in Quran, it can be classified into one of these three categories. So this is just to help you break down. Okay. Either it will be a noun, and this is a more extensive noun than the English nouns. It's include basically everything, right? Any idea, concept, person, adverb, all these things go under the noun category, which we call ism in Arabic. Or it will be a verb. So everybody understand what a verb is. Something that's describing an action. Okay, and then we have letters, which we call prepositions in English. Here are some examples of letters. Li, min, an, fi, bi, ala, inda, ila, ma'a. So these are all examples of letters or harf in Arabic. So they don't make any sense by themselves. They have to come before a word to give you the context and the meaning. Okay, so this chart has given you the most commonly used. What are these things? Harf. Okay, so let's repeat after me. So every word would either be a ism or fi'l or okay, anything you see in Quran, it has to be one of these categories. Okay, these are the ones that you would see most commonly, right? So you would only see these pretty much. So li, min, an, fi, bi, ala, inda, ila, ma'a. So these are the most commonly seen harf. Okay, and then what they have done is they have attached what's attached here? Pronouns. Pronouns, right? So all the attached forms of pronouns that we just saw before have been attached here for you. Okay, so the reason we are doing this is so that not that you can translate, but so that you can recognize the structure, and that will help you. Okay, well, this is a noun. Oh, I know this pronoun, so I just need to figure out what this other thing is. Okay? All right, I'm going to give you one more concept, and then we'll actually go and practice this. So this is how typically the verbs will look like. Okay? And we'll start practicing that. So remember I talked about something called root letters last time? Anybody remembers the example we used? Not in English.
Like the source of the word.
Yeah.
Like if eating, if it will all originate from basic word, B-E-A-T.
Okay. Yes. So the example I used was act, right? So A-C-T. So you can have actor, actress, acting, to act, right? Sleep, and same thing. You can have a lot of different words that can come from that three-letter, usually the three-letter source. So that's what they have shown here, and we'll start seeing this as we practice with the Quran. But that's usually the verbs will most likely be in this form. So you'll have the three key letters followed by one of these attachments. Okay? But I don't want to spend too much time on it. We'll get into it, and as we start seeing it, then I will point out to you, inshallah. Once again, the idea of it is not to get you confused or overwhelmed, but so that we can start seeing and dissecting words as we analyze them, inshallah. Okay, so we are starting verse number 3 today. The way I'll do it is I'm going to recite it first, Then we will look at the word by word and look at the translation. Then we'll do the reflections. Then we'll do the vocabulary memorization. So right now I'm using Quran Hive. So Quran Hive is pretty neat. If you click on any word, it will give you the meaning of that word, and it will also give you what we said about root letters. Okay, so here you can see mim, ka, tha, and it also gives you the meaning. All right. Okay. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم ماكثين فيه أبدا وينذر الذين قالوا اتخذ الله ولدا ما لهم به من علم ولا لآبائهم كبرت كلمة تخرج من أفواههم إن يقولون إلا كذبا فلعلك باخع نفسك على آثارهم إن لم يؤمنوا بهذا الحديث أسفا إنا جعلنا ما على الأرض زينة لها لنبلوهم أيهم أحسن عملا وإنا لجاعلون ما عليها صعيدا جرزا أم حسبت أن أصحاب الكهف والرقيم كانوا من آياتنا عجبا. So for our word by word, I'm just going to actually go into corpus. I think that gives us a much better view. Okay, good. So here basically you would have all the information as you learn more and more grammar. All these words will start making sense to you. You don't need to know everything. I think most of this is useful, especially for memorization, for just understanding, especially the Quran. I don't think you need to have all these details memorized or understood. Okay, so makithina, they will abide. Okay? Good. And this is a noun. Okay, so this is an noun. Fihi. Okay, so you have to engage with me. Fihi, in it. Okay, so here you have two things. One is pronoun. What is a pronoun here? He. So remember the chart we saw? Attached pronoun. Okay, what was this for? Him, right? So here it's there. They obviously will translate it as it because of English, but from an Arabic perspective, it's either male or female. And then the word fi is, they're saying it's p, which is preposition. So remember we said every word would be a what? Ism, harf, or fail. Okay? So you have ism here, which is a pronoun, and you also have harf, which is fi. Abada. Okay. Abada. And so whenever I say a word, you say abada, forever. Okay, let's try once again. Abada, forever. Okay, let's try once more. Abada, thank you. Don't take forever to understand. All right, so any questions about that? So now, what I can do is I can break it down for you. I can show you connections and whatnot. The rest of the practice has to come from us. Okay? If anybody is selling you snake oil, don't buy it. It doesn't work. Okay, وَيُنذِرَ. Okay, what about the rest of the people? Please, everybody. وَيُنذِرَ. And to warn. Okay, so and y is again harf, and yunzira is fail. Right, so it says we for verb and conjugation for the harf. Okay, alladhina, I think this is probably the second or third time you're seeing it already in these two classes. Everybody should know it. Is those who. Qalu. Okay, why is it saying here? Let's see. So we'll just keep it like that. Qalu. Says it's they said. Okay. Ittakhadha Okay, Allahu. So essentially, it's both of them combined. So Allahu ittakhadha, Allah has taken. Walada. Okay. Ma. Not. Okay, everybody. Ma. Not. Okay. Lahum. Okay, so this is again, hum is coming from where? Your pronoun chart. Remember? So see how useful it is? So again, you just keep mapping back from your pronoun chart and boom, so much things are like hopefully opening up now. Bihi. So again, so you have be the harf and you also have again something from the pronoun chart. Okay. Min is? Any. Okay. So it's used for from or it's also used for any. Let me see if the chart actually tells you that or not. Okay, it doesn't. It just says from. Okay, but that's extra stuff that you will capture. Min ilmin, knowledge. Wala li'abaihim. Okay, so here there are a few things here, right? So you have li, which is for. Aba is the noun, which is the plural of ab, right? So fathers, him, their. So you have these three things attached together. Li, aba, ihim. Okay. Kaburat. Kalimatan. Takhruju. Min. So some of these are like really relative, so you can actually say from here as well. Okay, afwahihim. Where is it they're coming from? Okay, so we see pronouns are all over. In. Yaquluna. Illa. كذب.
Sorry, question.
Mm-hmm.
In what context is ma not and also in not?
Yeah, this is just, you have to guess, or you have to see it from the context. Which one is fitting. So some words may have multiple meanings, and based on the context, you will see. So even if you try to put in other meanings of it, you will see that it wouldn't fit it.
It won't fit it.
All right. Okay. فَلَعَلَّكَ بَاخِعٌ نَفْسَكَ. Okay, yours is coming from? Okay. عَلَى آثَارِهِمْ إِنْ لَمْ يُؤْمِنُوا بِهَذَا الْحَدِيثِ أَسَفَ Inna. Okay, so see, where's the we coming from? Now, so it's two now, because it's noon mushadda, it's two, right? In plus the noon alif, which is the pronoun that we saw in the pronoun chart, right? So that's why they're also showing you that pronoun and something else. Ja'alna. So it's the same pronoun. Ma. Okay, this is Ma. Ala al-ardi. Zinatan. Laha. لِنَبْلُوَهُمْ. Okay, so this li is again, right? So لِيُنذِرَ. So last time we saw لِيُنذِرَ, so that it may warn them. So this li is for the sabab, the cause, the purpose. أَيُّهُمْ. Okay, so this is whom coming from again from our chart. أحسن عملا وإنا لجاعلون ما عليها سعيدا جرزا. Okay, I think this is good. So we'll stop here from vocabulary. Okay, so let's read the translation, do reflection, vocabulary, and see if we have more time to go further. Okay, so in which they will remain forever. So obviously this is talking about what? What's it? Who will remain in what forever? So you have to go back to the previous verse. What was it talking about? That the believers who have done the righteous actions, they will have a beautiful, a good reward. Okay, how long will that reward be? You know, will it expire? Will it go down? Is there a bull market and a bear market? What's going to happen? You know, am I going to enjoy it forever? No. So, in which they will remain forever. Okay. And then وَيُنذِرَ الَّذِينَ قَالُوا اتَّخَذَ اللَّهُ وَلَدًا, and to warn those who claim that Allah has a offspring or a son or children. مَا لَهُمْ بِهِ مِنْ عِلْمٍ وَلَا لِآبَائِهِمْ. They have no knowledge about it whatsoever, neither their fathers. And that's a grave, a heavy statement, a kalima coming out of their mouths. What they're doing is nothing but lies. So فَلَعَلَّكَ بَاخِيٌ نَفْسَكَ. So it may be, perhaps, O Prophet ﷺ, you may destroy yourself, or you may fall into grief over themselves because of their action, what they're not believing. In this hadith, in this statement, in this message, out of sadness and anxiety or worries. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about a different topic, verse number 7. إِنَّا جَعَلْنَا مَا عَلَى الْأَرْضِ زِينَةً لَهَا. Indeed, we have made whatever is on earth a beautification and adornment. Why? So that we may test them, which one of them is best in these. And surely, definitely, we will make whatever is on it. On what? On earth. Sa'idan juruza. It will all turn into a barren ground. Okay. So this is basically verse number 3 to 8. Okay, so that's 5 verses. So what we will do now is you will get 2 minutes to think about it. I'm going to bring this slide up. Where's my slide? Here. Okay, so that's what you're reflecting on. These are your initiating questions to think about it, and then it will all turning it into an actionable advice to yourself or a friend, a family member, or someone. So I'll give you like maybe 3 minutes to look into it yourself. Use these questions. Not every question may apply to every verse. And then after that, you will share this with your partners, whoever is sitting beside you. So you'll share it with them and they will share it with you. You can pick any of the words that attracted you most when you're sharing with them. Then some of you will pass this on to and share it with the rest of the class, and then I will share some of my reflections, and then we'll continue. So your time starts now. Almost 3 minutes for personal reflection. Look into it, think about it, and then we'll give you another 3 minutes to exchange. So it is time for personal reflection. So you can talk to yourself, not to other people. Unless it's if there's a question, ask me. Okay, don't give my job to somebody else.
Brother,
Yes.
do you mind pulling up the definition? I mean, sorry, the translation.
Yes.
What
So to use your phone or bring a translation with you, because then I can't, like, even if I pull it up, you won't have all the translation on one screen.
I understand.
So that's why I'm keeping the questions there. But either use an app or browser, just go to Quran.com or something.
Jazakallah.
Okay, so that's about 4 minutes. When I show you something quickly, so this website, Quran Hype, it has a lot of resources as well. So if you click on play button here, it will give you audio tafsir of it. If you click on learn, then it gives you the tafsir, right? So you can have Ibn Kathir, I think there's other stuff too, but these are the two main things that you have access to: audio or Ibn Kathir written tafsir. And then I think I've already given you the Tafsir Sa'di link. So that's actually very beautiful. So see, if it's these two verses, the tafsir or 4 verses, the tafsir is really very short. So it can really get you started if you are doing something at home, for example. And as for these questions, so think about it, right? Is there anything about Allah that's being described in this verse? Any names and attributes of Allah being used? You know, what kind of people is it talking about? You know, people that Allah love or people that Allah does not like? What qualities are being mentioned? And then you can reflect, okay, how do I do in terms of those qualities? Like, you know, 10 out of 10 or 5 out of 10 or barely starting or, you know, running away from it if it's a negative quality. What qualities do Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala love and what He doesn't love? Is He asking me to shift my focus a bit based on what I'm focusing on and what the verse is reminding me to focus on? Is there a promise from Allah in this verse? Okay. Is there a different mindset, a different approach that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is teaching me? And then how can I utilize this information to advise myself or someone else? So hopefully you guys have something. So we'll give you 2 minutes. Okay, so for the person sitting on your right, we'll go first. So you'll tell to the other person, and then after 2 minutes we'll switch, and then the other person will speak to the one that was talking before. Make sense? Okay, so talk. So one person talks for the next 2 minutes, and then we'll swap, and then somebody else will talk. Right, let's switch. So whoever was not speaking before is going to speak now. It's going to switch among your partners. Okay?
Brother Zubair?
Yes.
I wanted to know what your reflection.
That's what I'm going to do. I don't want you to be corrupted. So I'm going to come in pure from you, organic, and then we'll share with the class, and then I'll. Tash, you have nothing to talk about? You have nothing to talk about?
No, we had our.
Okay.
Yeah, we have something.
Next time we're going to make sure you guys mix it together. We have multiple.
Top student, mashallah. I'm very good.
Who's?
If you're usually hanging out with him, then you wouldn't work. Okay, time's up. All right, so let's see if we can have two of you guys share, maybe one or two from the sisters, and that will give me my material to talk about. So I'm going to build mine based on yours. Just kidding. All right, so who's first? Yes.
So me and the brother were reflecting on how Allah says in the verse where He says that He basically acknowledges how the Prophet ﷺ feels sad when they don't believe Him, and to a point where he feels like the grief will kill him. And so me and the brother were thinking about how a lot of people, they don't feel acknowledged by other human beings, whether it be friends or family, and they might go through tribulation alone. But Allah is telling in this verse how He's essentially acknowledging the Prophet ﷺ's feelings through the tribulation of them not believing Him, and how sad that makes him. And me and my brother were just thinking how that's a good reminder that Allah always knows how you feel, and it's not something unnoticed to Allah.
Okay, mashallah. So in essentially like addressing and acknowledging people's feelings.
Yeah.
Okay, good, mashallah. All right, anybody else? Let's go one from, yes, go ahead.
This surah is divided into like how it's talking about faith, gratitude, knowledge, and power. So ayah number 6, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam that you don't have to grieve as long as you give the message, and my part is to give hidayah, right? So this part of knowledge is only with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right? And so He's comforting the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, saying it's going to disappoint you, right? But you don't be disappointed. Leave it up to me to take care of the message which you have conveyed to the people.
Okay, good. So if you were to now take it a step further, right? So how you have like extracted what's happening in the verse, and see if how you can make it an actionable advice to someone else that you're talking to, like a friend, family member, yourself. It's going to be similar, but I'm just saying like you will obviously be talking. You wouldn't be narrating it that okay, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is doing this. Now, how do you turn it into an actionable advice to a friend? That may be dealing with a situation that's related to it. Okay, anyone wants to take it from there?
I guess it would be do your best, be patient, and follow what's said in the Quran and Sunnah, and Allah will guide you.
Okay, good. Yeah, so when I'll talk, I'll try to maybe explain more what I meant by that, but this is good. So I think, yeah, so as a combined thing, I think this is going in the right direction. Yes?
I personally perceive it as the fact that Allah Ta'ala is technically telling them that there's nothing in your control. That humans do not have the outcome in control. So there's no point in worrying yourself that way.
Okay, So yeah, so let's say, so if I were to make it more explicit, let's say if there's a friend, family member who is maybe worried about, another family member or their children or outcome of anything, so you can remind them again that, look, you focus on what's in your control and remembering that the results are in the hands of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and again focusing on your circle of influence, right? Are you doing your best thing or not? So that is what I meant by kind of turning it into an actionable advice. But beautiful, jazakallah khair. Now let's take one more from here.
And just in that connection of
Let's do some other words too.
yeah.
So that we just no, you okay, yeah, go ahead.
Okay, I'm on the forefathers. Is that I'm on Ibrahim? No, how do you say forefathers? That's what I wanted to know.
Forefathers, yeah.
That it was mentioned into the verse where Abraham.
Abaihim.
Abraham. Yeah, I just wanted to know other brothers is narrate, I guess, their own
Thoughts on that specific verse? Okay. All right. So I think Bashar, you had your hand up.
Yeah. So the one that we were discussing was the seventh verse where the Prophet, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that He has adorned the earth with many attractive things, so that He may test who of them do best, right? So the thing that we're discussing is and the following verse is even more scary, where every adornment will be done to dust. So the question is, what are we focusing our efforts on, and the reality that every effort that we are putting towards the object of our efforts will be turned to dust, and our efforts will also be turned to dust as well. Like Tesla or any cars or phones or anything, right? So whereas what wouldn't be turned to dust is what we give to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, who's the best of people, our efforts and our energy. If we turn that towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that wouldn't be turned to dust, but everything else that we put our efforts towards in this world will be turned to dust. So this is kind of a reminder to question where we focus our efforts and what our intentions behind our efforts on daily basis is.
Good. Jazakallah khair. All right. So let's see one more from sister side, and then
We're reflecting on the 5th verse. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that they have no knowledge of such thing, nor did their forefathers. So a piece of advice would be learning about Allah and their religion prior to speaking, because speaking without knowledge can lead to grave sin. And it just shows the importance of understanding your religion, your prophet, your book, your God.
okay, beautiful. Right. So this is about the importance of knowledge before actions. All right. So let me share a few points of my own, and then okay. So for the first one, it's a reminder about the Jannah, right? So when you're talking about to someone in a situation that from this world's perspective, things go up and down, right? Sometimes you have good times, beautiful times, easy times, and sometimes you have pain and hard times, and so on and so forth. Young age, youth, then old age, right? So things basically deteriorate over time. However, in Jannah, everything is going to be forever, and that's the definition of Jannah, right? Some people try to seek it in this world, and that's why they say, oh, why is there pain in this world? Why is this happening? But they are sort of shifting and not understanding that this world is supposed to be the way it is, as will actually come in the next verse as well. So that's a reminder of that the ultimate and continuous everlasting happiness and comfort can only happen in paradise, and it will never happen in this world. So that was, continuing from last week, and that was about the glad tidings for the people who are believers and have done righteous actions. However, Quran is a balanced book. It does warn people as well to correct their course, to correct their actions, to correct their statements before death. So you'll see a balance of warnings and glad tidings. And here you see that this is talking about a very grave statement, and this is about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right? That people saying a kalima that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has taken a son or has partners who have shared in his dominion. So this is in the sight of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it's really, really heavy. Okay, we may have become desensitized to it. Okay, and this is something that we don't focus on, or we have a hard time about, because from the dawah field, people say, well, how come shirk is such a big thing that regardless of what people have done, why would they not go in Jannah? They may have built hospitals, they may have done this, they may have done so many good things. So just something to think about, that something, if it's grave and it's heavy in the sight of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, is it heavy for us or not? Now to relate to it, so I use this analogy that I think every one of us here may have our own personal boundary, right? So if someone has committed one crime that crosses that boundary, then regardless of what else they have done, we would find it very hard or impossible to forgive them. And for some people, it could be a crime against a mass number of humans, right? For some people, it could be a crime against an animal, right? Someone has tortured an animal, we're like, okay, I can't never forgive them, right? Or your own pet, right? Or your own child, or just general children, or anything like that. So people have this thing, oh man, if someone has done this thing, then that's it. That's the threshold for me. Then how come Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and Allah is the highest of examples, cannot have a boundary, a threshold, that if you don't meet it, then you are not deserving of paradise. So that's one thing from this. The second thing also from this is to watch out what we say. Many times we are talking about something and we just lightly say stuff, and we don't realize that the hadith in which the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam says, and points us that sometimes a man may say something and he may not put much account to it or not care about it, but that can take him so far away from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and so far close to the hellfire. So what we say is really important. It can obviously break people's heart, but it can also be a kalima, a word, a statement, a sentence that could be really heavy in the sight of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Some of the practical examples is many times people actually joke about religion, right? So you want to be funny and you also want to be religious, then you'll find joke within the religion, right? So that's something to think about and being careful about. A simple example, right? So say, hey, brother, oh, you have Android, astaghfirullah. Right? So when you're saying astaghfirullah, it's actually a dua. You're actually calling and talking to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and just trying to make a joke of this, it can be really a big deal. So, why are we risking that? That's just an example, right? Using, the elements of the deen for humor. The other things could be, which is connected to it, is not to talk about religion without knowledge. And many people do that, right? And here, obviously, it's connecting to their forefathers. So you have some information. Where does it come from? Or my forefathers did it. This is how my mom did it. This is how my parents did it. This is how my grandmother did it. However, is it actually from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? So seeking knowledge for any action, especially related to the deen. Another thing that I've also seen, in my engagements, that people say, oh, I think Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will forgive this, or I think that Allah will not care about this. Well, you don't have to think. The religion is there, so you can actually access the law. The information is there. We don't have to guess what Allah likes and what Allah doesn't like. So it's one thing that, we find out that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants us to do X, Y, or Z, and we don't do it because we're working on it, or it's hard for us. And it's a totally different thing to say, like, I think this is fine. If I just do X, Y, Z, then I'm a good Muslim. You're kind of drawing that boundary within the religion. So that's really, really dangerous, and many people do talk like that. And we wouldn't do that, right? When it comes to the worldly things, when it comes to tax law, we wouldn't say, oh yeah, you know what, I don't think I need to pay taxes on this. I don't think I need to, pay my bill on time. We'd always say, we wouldn't go and start making our own interpretation of the law when it comes to the world. But when it comes to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we start guessing. And then you can also take it forward from the perspective of knowledge. I think it's also really important from the community for any other thing as well. Right? Whether it be politics, whether it be activism, whether it be charity, whether it be donations, whether it be who you support, all the different news on social media, just like being smarter about it, being actually going to the right sources, digging deep, not just like taking some information that comes on WhatsApp. Well, it was on WhatsApp, so it must be true, right? It's on Google, so it must be true. It doesn't work like that, right? And I know it sounds funny, but many people do that, and sometimes we may be guilty of that as well, right? That you just start forwarding stuff. Oh, maybe I'm going to have this massive reward, people will just follow it. right? So, at the same time, as they say, the path to hell is paved with good intentions, right? So you need to have good knowledge as well in the matters of this dunya, as well as the matter of akhirah. And more importantly, in the matters of akhirah. Watching your mouth, what you say. Okay, and this is again very important thing, right? A lot of the time what happens is we start taking responsibility for our family members, community, and we don't have to, right? Everyone is responsible for their own actions. So something to think about, right? You don't need to be embarrassed by the action of someone else that's related to you, right? That's different. You're responsible for your own actions, whether it comes to advising them. But if they don't listen, then know that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows best that who should be guided and who shouldn't be guided. The question is, what are you going to do about it? And if the results are not in favor of what you're seeking, and as the Prophet of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam taught us to say, قَدَّرَ اللَّهُ وَمَا شَاءَ فَعَلَ. This is what Allah has decreed, and He does what He wills. Okay, so this is very relevant. I think a lot of people, some of you did talk about this. That yes, the things on this earth will be an attraction. It will, seek our attraction. It will be something that we would like to have. It will be something that would be beautified to us. And so I would say pause and think about, like, what am I attracted about today, right? When I woke up, what things was I chasing, right? What's top of my mind? And there's nothing wrong to have those things, but most importantly, are those things distracting me from something else? Right? Are they distracting me from salah? Are they distracting me and causing me to cross the boundaries of Sharia and step over halal into haram, right? Things like that. So even coming here, right? I'm sure people would have things that they could have done and not come here. So there's always this contention. What would you pick, right? Which is what's more important to you, what's more beloved to you. So always be careful of that. What are the things that are top of your list, and are they making you disobey Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala or not? And sometimes it could be as simple as family or children or job or career or business or investment, whatever it is, being cautious about it. Because the test is this: would you go for this attraction, or will you go for what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala likes? And also there's a reminder about ahsan mu'amala, about the quality of your actions. So not just the number of actions, the number of pages you're reading, right? The number of ayats you're reading, the number of rakats you're praying, or the hours you're volunteering, but what is the quality of that time or that action? And finally, look, I think it was very beautiful to see that. That's a good thing. It's not just the things will be vanished and go away, but also your effort. So we are making lots of effort. We want to have innovation. We want to move, the whole environment control and technology and biohacks and biotech and all these things. But eventually this is all going to go away. Eventually we know that everyone has to die. And this is not to say that we don't seek those things, we don't make innovation there, we don't progress there, but to keep it in the right order of priority. That look, at the end of the day, these things should not distract me from what is actually more important. And that is to stay in the bounds of the Sharia and to go with that, inshallah. So I think this is it. Any questions on that? All right, so it's time now for us to work on our vocabulary. Okay, so trust me with the process, and just like how we were doing while we were reciting it, start with a verse, and this is going to be just by yourself, right? And then, so let's say if you're working on this verse, so وَيُنذِرَ, and it warned الَّذِينَ, those who قَالُوا, they said, اتَّخَذَ, has taken Allah walada, son. So repeat each of these as 7 times. Use this for your practice, right? So hopefully you'll do it at home as well, but let's start here. Every word, repeat to yourself 7 times, and that will, hopefully before you go, someone can read back to me, and I'll make my day, inshallah. Okay, so with that, I'm going to officially stop the recording. What have you people who are following, they can inshallah try to do that as well. But we are still in the class, and we'll use the rest of the 6-7 minutes to work on the vocabulary. There should be like lots of noises, like a madrasa.